Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Growing Up with Godzilla. My name is Donny Winter, as you know, and this is my show where I have conversations with Godzilla fans about how they've grown with the character and the franchise over time. I've had some phenomenal conversations over the course of the first season and now season two. It's hard to believe that we are in season two. And my guest this evening is one who I have been really excited to have a conversation with for quite a while. And without further ado, I would like to introduce to you all Unite Godzilla fans. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Hello, hello, hello. I'm doing fantastic. How you doing today, man?
I got coffee in my system and I am ready to go. I mean, as long as I have coffee, that's what makes me happy. So,
There you go. Whatever makes you happy, you gotta have. That's key to life. That's the key to life.
right? Right. So we're already starting out with some great wisdom. I'm here for it. Um so I interestingly I've seen your social media around even prior to like following you. And then like when I watched the episode of Chill with Kaiju Kim that you did with Kim, of course, like I was just completely warmed by your wholesomeness and your passion for community building. So, right at that juncture, I was like, I need to have a conversation with this person. It absolutely must happen. My first question for you would be, where did that begin? When did you start a community within the Godzilla fandom?
Well, oh boy. Actually, I just looked this up. The account has been around for 6 years, but it wasn't always United Godzilla Fans. It started out as, the generic fan account, posting pictures and all that stuff. And then I kind of started getting into posting um, people's artwork, collections, all that jazz, stop motion videos and all that. And then I kind of asked my followers, and I think I only had at the time like maybe 200, 300. I said, hey, how would you guys feel if the name was changed to something more um, welcoming and did something for the fans? And people loved it. And I said, okay, I'm going to get back to y'all with the name. And I had a few names. People stuck with Unite Godzilla Fans. And I said, all right, it's action time. And one of the biggest reasons I did it was because, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to it, was, when I was young, I didn't have many friends that were into Godzilla as hard as I was when I was a kid. And we didn't have the internet. This was, we're talking back in the 90s and whatnot. So internet was scarce, and you couldn't really meet people and talk and communicate with them. So I said, you know what? I'm going to bring it back. And I wanted people to meet other kaiju fans from all over the globe now, since, social media, we can connect with people from uh, you know any state, any country. And I wanted to bring everyone together because, in any community there's always that toxic um, swarm here and there. And I felt like, we need to learn how to bridge that gap with the people who are either feel like they're elitist or they know more than everybody. And it's not the case. I
Mm.
don't know everything, so I can't even say I'm this gigantic Godzilla fan. I know what I know, I like what I like, and that's that. And I wanted people to feel safe and secured about what they like. Everyone, like, for example, there are people out there who like 98 and there are people who hate 98. But there's no reason to talk down about those who love it. People got into Godzilla through that movie. Awesome sauce. I'm not a fan, but I'm not gonna down talk on someone who loves the movie and who got them into it. So wanted to bring everybody together, and boy, did it take off unexpectedly. I tend to look at my numbers and I'm like, how? What? I'm not doing anything special. So I just continuously find cause and bringing people together, and especially the ones that are just slowly getting into Godzilla, and that they have a space to reach out to other G fans as well and be like, "Oh, hey, you're cool. Let's talk. Let's hang. Let's become friends." And it's happened, and I love it so much.
That's such a wonderful thing. Like I remember early like when the internet was young. Well, at least it felt young. Like in the 90s, early 2000s, like really our only social outlet were either chat rooms or message boards, and you like they did create community, but of course those places were very subject to gatekeeping and elitism and like very troubling, behaviors that would make people feel othered in a whole variety of different ways,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
So like when I like seeing that you like thought of that, but then you were like, you know what? I want to create a community that's far more inclusive, that doesn't make people feel bad for like which film they like, for heaven's sakes. Like your Instagram had a huge following, like 27, 28,000 followers.
Yeah. Yeah. 27.
Impressive.
I then I always take the time to thank everybody. Um, and I'll absolutely throw you in this. Without people like you, my page would be absolutely nothing. I don't do anything. It's really all about you guys. I say this page is for the fans, by the fans. Um, so I don't do much. It's all about you guys. It's you guys, what you want to see, what you like. I really press hard into what people like, with the numbers and whatnot. But once again, numbers in the end mean nothing to me. You could be an account that has 200 followers. You could be an account that has 1 million followers. Um, Whatever. If you're putting good into this community, absolutely, hell yeah, like keep it up. And what really warms my heart is when people tell me like, hey, I really love your page. It really helps me out at times. I've met some amazing people through it, and that just I love it. It's one of those things where I take it and I say, okay, I got a purpose in life, and this is what it is, and it's been bliss ever since, man.
That's really empowering. Well, obviously, none of that would have happened had you not been a Godzilla fan in the first place, right?
That's right.
So, how were you first introduced to Godzilla? Where did all that begin?
I think we all pretty much basically started the same. We love dinosaurs. Um, and I was a big dinosaur fan. And then back in, and I have to always think about my mom, and I ask her when this all takes place because people ask me as well. It was back in '94. Um, a channel called TNT had Monster Vision, and it was on one day, and Mothra versus Godzilla 1964 was on, and I just said, "This is the ultimate dinosaur." He breathes fire. Of course, I didn't know the correct terms. Atomic breath. Now I don't want to get hate. No. And he was fighting the giant Mothra, and I was blown away, and that was it. I just dove in deep. I looked at the movies. I started collecting, um, and it just took off, and I became a Godzilla fan instantly.
That's amazing. I do remember Monster Vision very well.
Nice,
Those times,
nice.
good years.
Assuming maybe the same thing with you. You got into Godzilla the same way. You saw him on TV, and that was it.
Oh yeah, well, I got into Godzilla through my parents initially, actually.
Nice.
My parents were Godzilla fans, and they would like periodically rent from like a Blockbuster video,
Yeah.
like just random Godzilla movies. And my first one was actually Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 1974,
Mm.
and I really loved it. And then the whole Showa era I watched, and then I branched into the Heisei era. So like it was a process, but there was a lot of waiting. Like I know like in the last episode I was talking with Walter about this, but I feel like those of us who grew up in the 80s and 90s who were Godzilla fans, we ended up having to do a lot of waiting because like the Heisei Godzilla series wasn't released in the United States until like late 90s, early 2000s. So like we would see like all of these Godzilla figures that were like these characters, and we would never know what movies they were attached to.
Yep. Yep.
And it was so infuriating. So yeah, like I definitely remember those days very well. And I kind of I did enjoy the suspense. But if it were
Yes.
me today experiencing that suspense, I would be too impatient. I couldn't
Yep.
do it.
I mean, let's take a look at now. We had our last Toho film in 2016. Now 2023. Come on, Toho. What are you doing? What are you doing with us here?
Right. I mean, I will give them credit. At least we've had like some MonsterVerse stuff to keep us occupied and like
Absolutely.
some experiments, like the anime trilogy, Godzilla Singular Point, so on and so forth. And there's been other kaiju films too. Like I'm really excited about the new Gamera. Oh, what is it called? Gamera. Is it
Uh,
Gamera Rebirth?
yeah, Gamma Rebirth. Yep, on Netflix. Yep.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
super excited about that. That's going to be great. So
Finally, Gamma gets some action back, which was about time. He
Gamera
needed.
gets something.
He needed the poor guy. He ended off with Gamma the Brave, which was,
Yeah, it was all right, but
yeah.
it wasn't like the 90s film, so
Well, exactly, and that's one of my biggest complaints was you ended Gamera with Gamera 3, this dark toned, bloody film, creepy as all heck. Um, and then you go to Gamera the Brave, and it's just that transition was just so off. I was like, you can't do this. No.
like I feel like a very popular thing with a lot of kaiju films is they like to just focus it on like child like a kid audience, right?
Yeah.
Like no, don't get me wrong, like the Mothra trilogy, I love it. I eat it up.
Amazing.
It makes me
Amazing.
so but the fact that it focuses on like a young audience, like I feel like that's the most annoying thing for most of us, you know. And I kind of wish they like yeah, like create content for kids. That's great.
Of
But
course.
but we also need something for the adults, for the big kids, right? We need something.
We want the violence. Let's be real, man. We want that violent, all out monster brawl.
I
Um,
want city destruction, brawls. I need it.
yeah, I fully agree. I fully agree. So luckily, we got some things to tie us over, but Toho did the tease for November of this year. So now we are in the waiting game for Toho.
So Mothra versus Godzilla was your first film.
Yep.
As you've grown older, which Godzilla films have you gravitated to as favorites?
I'll give you my top three. Godzilla versus Destroyer.
Iconic.
Godzilla, Terror of Mechagodzilla, 1975.
Also
And
iconic.
the last one, Shin Godzilla.
Really? Oh, good. Okay, so Shin Godzilla. Like, what made you fall in love with Shin Godzilla? Because, like, it's interesting. People are kind of polarized. Like, some people love them, and then other people detest Shin Godzilla a lot. What makes you love Shin?
It brought it back. It brought back the metaphors that what Godzilla was. And they also brilliantly molded in the other natural disasters that were going on at the time, like the tsunamis, the earthquakes, and Shin Godzilla's. And once again, this is also where the community divides with Shin Godzilla. His design, I thought it was nightmarish, ghoulish, and learning things about the concept for the design, like Godzilla only roars when he's in pain.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about those scenes that he roars, you go, "Oh wow, he was hurting. He was hurting." And also, not to mention, the soundtrack was
Oh
absolutely
yes.
phenomenal. The first trailer dropped and they played, I think it was Who Will Know. And at the time, I was going through a little bit of difficulties, and I remember my buddy dropping me that trailer, and I had tears just rolling down my face with happiness. And I was like, he's back. He is finally back. And also, of course, the destruction. You had the one, that atomic beam scene, or whatever you want to call it, and just the amount of destruction that happened at that scene was just, my jaw like hit the floor numerous of times. I drove an hour to the theater just to see it in the theater and get my first taste of it, and I fell in love instantly.
So my friend Tiffany and I to live like in northern Michigan. We had to drive down to Flint to catch Shin Godzilla, which was like an hour and a half away from us.
No
And
kidding.
the weather was bad. There was like a tornado
Oh God.
to see Shin Godzilla. It was worth it.
There you go. That's exactly. It was worth it. Totally worth it.
Who wouldn't brave a tornado to watch a Godzilla movie?
That's dedication, man. I give you the utmost respect and credit for that one, man. Good
I feel like
you.
there's like an existential like metaphor discussion we could have about braving a natural disaster to watch a film about a natural disaster. But I have a therapy appointment tomorrow, so I'll talk to her about that.
Fair enough. Maybe a later conversation as well, possibly.
Right. So are there any particular kaiju or human characters that you're drawn to? If so, why?
You know, this question stuck out the most for me. And I was kind of torn between Burning Godzilla and Godzilla Jr. 95.
Ooh.
And then I said, I got it. And it was definitely Godzilla Jr. 95. And that was because, like his father, we are faced with obstacles that are always bigger than us in life. And we tend to get intimidated by these bigger oppositions because we feel either weak, we can't handle it, it's too scary, we're too afraid. And seeing Godzilla Jr. take on Destroyer and win the battle, in the first one, of course, later on, it's a complete tear fest. We're crying our eyes out. But, he still stood his ground. And no matter how many times Destroyer knocked him down, he got back up. And it was always such a great encouragement for me to see that was a thing that we could do in life, that we could stand up to the bigger threat that is looking at us dead in the eyes and still say, you know what? I'm still going to fight you, man. And if I lose, I put up a fight. If I win, that just makes me know I am stronger than what I think I am. And of course, Godzilla Jr. is one of my favorites of the little Godzillas. And I've always taken that with me when I'm facing these obstacles in life, because that's life for you.
Yeah, no, that's actually really powerful. Throughout the series, periodically I've reflected on how Godzilla has kind of served as like this example to look to for me as well, where I've been able to like look at characters like him overcoming these obstacles and then realizing that, like, despite the bullying like I experienced in high school, that I could literally watch these films and be like, you know what, I can go and I can deal with my foes. Like, I can get through this. I might not win, I might come out of it on like damaged, not perfect, but at least I was able to survive that. Right?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Good and work. I like the fact that you find Godzilla Jr. like one of your favorites. Like that really surprises me, because like I've had few conversations where people have ever taken like a deep dive on that character, because when we think about Godzilla Jr., like we see this character grow for 3 films, and we end up developing like an immense emotional connection with this character. And then in Godzilla versus Destroya, we're like confronted with the unthinkable, where like Mickey Sagusa, like we're all Mickey Sagusa basically. We're all like, oh crap, what if we were placed in the situation of having to
Yep.
persuade this thing we care on our behalf? Like that's horrible, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel so bad for her in that film.
I agree.
But
It's gut wrenching.
like it wasn't like Mickey was controlling him. She literally was like, hey, like psychically, hey, go do this, please.
Yep. Yep.
So
It's a tough film, man, and I agree. You don't really hear much about it, and it's just like, why not? We're all faced with these obstacles in life, and it always saddens me when I'm seeing in the community that people have fear over their obstacles of life, whatever it may be, whether it's from being bullied or there's neglect or anything else. I don't want to start a tear jerker movement over here on your show. We don't need that.
I'm okay with that. I cry all the time, so it's not surprising.
Oh, dude, you catch me watching Destroyer, I will be crying my eyes out in that whole film. Forget it. It's such a sad film. But it's like, if people can resonate with someone with a kaiju like that and understand that it doesn't matter how tall, it doesn't matter how big, skinny, large, whatever you are, you can absolutely fight your obstacles. And just the same thing that you said, I might come out unscathed, I might come out broken and bruised, but that doesn't matter because I still stood my ground.
Like that was very well put, by the way. To add to that, like, and I've mentioned this before too, like Godzilla, like there's just always something other. Like he's always othered in some way. Like humanity is always misinterpreting him.
That's right.
And of course, like I think of Shin Godzilla in this instance, right? Like this creature is literally just trying to exist and survive in some fashion, probably with no malicious intent. It's just this mutated, in pain, jangling batch of bones and skin.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we go through what we go through, like mental health wise, physically, like how often have we felt that way ourselves? So, like, I feel like metaphorically speaking, these characters like Shin Godzilla, Godzilla Jr., like they symbolize like not only like how othered we feel, but how in our otherness we're able to resist and survive in some way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well said.
I'm
Well
I'm
said.
nerding out now. I am nerding
Not
out
at
now.
all. And I mean, I'm gonna piggyback off of you real quick. I think, which is very, very relatable to a lot of us. 1984 English dub. The professor says about Godzilla, he's just trying to find his home. And I think, how many of us in this life are literally just looking for a place that feels like home to us, outside of our home, of course, but home that we feel so accepted by and so loved and welcomed by, that, like, how could you not relate to that? I constantly feel it on a daily basis. Sometimes I'm just like,
Right.
I gotta find my home. And now, granted, when I ask myself that, I open up my phone, I go on my Instagram, and I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
home. There we go. But yeah,
Same.
it's all relatable, man.
It's belonging. Like home is as much about belonging as it is being in a physical space,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
And I think that like I think in society a lot of people often forget about that, you
Yep.
know. But I'm glad that, like, through these films, we're able to kind of remember that and be reminded that, in a way, like, the films themselves are home. Like,
Yep.
they are our belonging, which, ooh, ooh, I love that. How would you
Beautifully.
argue Oh, thank you. How would you argue that Godzilla has shaped you into who you are now?
Hmm. Another fantastic question.
Thank
Um,
you. I pride myself on being able to write a good question.
you do a great job. Let me tell you, I'm loving these. Like I can't be like, well, that was the same question I've been asked before. Great. Oh, here we go again. No,
That's like my
solid.
worst fear.
It's solid. Well, you gotta do the intros and all
Like
that, but otherwise,
repeating the same question everybody like I'm always like I can't do that. Like I'm a teacher for heaven's sake. I should be able to create a good discussion question.
um, I think it comes along the lines of the same with fighting obstacles and whatnot, but also feeling like the anti-hero at times. You have your people who love you and you have your people who hate you. um and I always tell I'll call them family because I don't want to use followers or fans or whatnot, because to me they're family
Yeah.
regardless of if I've talked to them or not. That um no matter what, if you got people who are disliking what you're doing something right. um and that's just going to also cause word of mouth that will bring people to you, and to check you out and see what you're doing. So I've walked through this life, and uh, I before I did all the Godzilla stuff, I played music, I was in bands, I've toured, and I witnessed, the people who dislike us and what sound we do, and then I also have learned that people will dislike you for what you're doing, especially if it's in a positive
Mm.
sense. And I've had it before on the page. Um, Luckily, I'm able to scrub it out real quick. Take a little bleach and you're gone. Um, and so, but I think to get back to it, the biggest thing is you go through life and not give a damn about what people think. If people get in your way, tell them I'm either gonna run you over or I'm gonna walk around you. You're not gonna hold me back. And I think that applies to anything that anyone is hesitant or self-doubting about themselves. It's just go through it. Go through your obstacles, push through, unleash your atomic breath upon those who are saying that you are X, Y, and Z, and forget them. They're in the past. That's that. Keep it moving forward. And the same thing with Shin Godzilla, for example. No
Mm.
matter what the Japanese Defense Force did, drop bombs, fire tanks, Apache helicopters, so on and so forth, he looked at them and went and kept it moving.
I'm gonna evolve to adapt to this, regardless.
Yeah, you ain't gonna stop me. I'm gonna push through, and if I gotta destroy some people on the way, so be it.
Yep, yep. And it's interesting that you mentioned, like earlier, you talked about like when people like are uncomfortable with you, they try to tear you down because the good that we do it kind of holds up a mirror to them and shows them that they in fact are not happy, right?
Yep.
And they probably have their reasons for not being happy, but it's what they do with that unhappiness that matters. Like you can either weaponize it against people and try to tear actually think about it and be like, okay, I'm not happy. What can I do to change that? Like, what can I do to be a better person, grow, overcome this thing that's making me unhappy, right? So,
Bravo.
yeah,
Bravo.
so like you saying that like really got the squirrels in my brain going. So,
Hey, I gotta make people think every now and then, right? I can't just be
right.
posting up content all day long. I gotta make people think.
Well, and see, that makes me happy because that is literally what my vision was for this show, like from the get go. Like, because one, I don't think we have enough conversations about our experiences growing up as Godzilla fans, and like what many might think are small moments are actually huge moments for us.
Absolutely.
And I think that there's just so much learning that we can gain from examining those types of things.
Yes. 100% agree. 100%.
So I would be remiss if I did not ask whether or not you like collecting. Do you collect?
I do. I do. And it's changed over the years. Of course, first in the 90s, you had your vinyl figures from Bandai. Um, and then came along Treadmasters, which I got into for a little bit. And then I went back to collecting the Bandais, and then the bane of my wallet came along, the X Plus figures. Um, yeah, like I swear to God, I hate the person that got me into them. I won't name drop him. I still remember him. I hate you for it. And love you for it at the same time. And then recently, I started getting into like, how do you say it? The Sofu bees or whatever they're called. I forgot the names.
Oh, I know what ones you're trying. I can't say it either.
And they're very colorful and they're different.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also tried to start getting into like certain like memorabilias. Like recently there was a cardboard cutout of Godzilla, and this was in stateside stores, so it was 1985. It was a cardboard cutout that was from like a movie store, like a Blockbuster.
Oh wow.
And I lost the bid. I had a budget. I wasn't gonna go over it. It sold for like $200, and I was like, okay, that's fine. Something else is out there for me. So I kind of flip flop from different stuff, but right now it's like the memorabilia and the weird things. Like there's a Godzilla toilet paper holder that I really, really want. And then when you pull on the paper towel, he roars. Like, I think that's awesome, right? After you go to the bathroom, you pull it down and he roars. It's like, all right, I did something.
I pooped. Success.
Yeah. I took a heavy Godzilla dookie. Woo!
I don't know. Sometimes we have to celebrate when we get through those things, right?
As you said before, my friend, the small victories, they count.
Oh my God, that made my day. So I do want to briefly go back to community a little bit and talk a little bit about community.
Yeah.
So I did find like, because of course, preparing for this, I went through your social media and I was just like, I need to like look and find things and learn about you more. And I found this quote. It was posted, I think, during the pandemic, and it really, to me, from my perspective, spoke to like what you're doing when it comes to community building. And you say, quote, at Unite Godzilla Fans, I am always about you guys, and I've said this before, and I feel this is the perfect time to say it. The days have gotten scary, and sometimes we may feel alone, which makes it worse. If you feel this way, reach out to me or someone you know. We are all in this together, and I love you all. I am here for anyone that needs it. Stay united, G fans. We are gonna be all right.
Aw.
That's like, oh, that's really powerful to me because did you write that during the pandemic? Was that like, because it
Yeah.
says 158 weeks ago. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess my question for you, like this is my final question for our conversation. What advice do you have for Godzilla fans who may be new to the franchise or who may want to be included in the community or even create a community of their own within our fandom?
Do it. Just do it. You're only going to, I think a lot of times, and I get these. I get asked like, oh well, how do you build and all this stuff, and I go, you learn. You learn what to do and what not to do, and don't be afraid of just doing it. There are so many amazing pages out there, big and small, um, that I've seen over the years just kind of fall off the face of the earth. And it's just like, well, why? Like, and some of the reasons are like they got things going on, but then some of the answers are like, I just didn't like what I was doing. And I'm like, okay, so why'd you stop?
Yeah.
What you started something, so just tweak it. I've tweaked so many things throughout the years. And it's got to me where I am today. So for all y'all out there who want to start something, whether it's a community within the community, yo, just do it. It's gonna be tweaked. It's gonna be fine tuned every single day. But the biggest thing is do it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Don't do it for fame. Don't do it for glory. Don't do it for monetization or anything else. Do it because that's where your heart lies. That's where your passion lies and your dedication. I don't give one damn about my follower count. I don't at all. Do I like to look at it and go, damn, I got these numbers? Absolutely.
Right.
It's awesome. But it doesn't change my thought process on what I've set out to do. And you have to do it, and it's kind of like it's kind of like becoming a vegan. You don't do it for health. Now, sure, you could, but eventually you're gonna run into some issues. You do it for the ethics of it, the morality of it, and not saying that everyone should be vegan. I mean, let me clear the slate on that one. I'm not saying that. Eat what you want to eat. I don't judge. I don't care. Whatever. But you do it for the love of it, for the morale of it. If you feel like, I don't know, Baragon on from Frankenstein Conquer the World needs more love, make a page.
Yeah.
Post all the stuff about it. If you get 50 followers, good on you. You're doing something. You're getting noticed. And that's awesome. So, like I said before, and hopefully Nike don't sue me, just do
it. Well, and the thing is, well, I agree 100%. It also requires a lot of consistency and and it does take a lot of hard work. I've been doing this on YouTube for 12 years.
Oh, wow.
A decent following, but like it's not like huge or anything like that. When I was younger, I would like just agonize over numbers, but then it got to a point where it became like, no, I love doing this. Like that's why I'm doing, like, I love doing this. It feels good to do it. And sometimes things do take off.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes you can't really predict when they will happen, but there's always that chance out there, right? Like when I first started this show, like I was just like, 2 people are gonna watch it, and I'll be one of those 2, and it'll be fine. And then I see like people sharing it and like people like wanting to be guests, and I'm just like, wow, okay, like this is something, this is something. But it requires consistency, work, a vision. You have to like in your mind think about it, like at least in my opinion,
Of course.
and then execute it. And so,
and you've done a fantastic job with it. I don't always get to see your post on Instagram because that lovely algorithm. Thank you.
well, I don't post on Instagram a lot, but I might change that.
I think you should, my friend. But on Twitter, you do have a very large audience, and your topics are always a great one. I like to read them when it's time to settle down, and I'm like,
my Twitter is the place I go to like climb up on top of a lonely hill and scream into the void. So I appreciate you saying that.
But you have people shouting back at you, man, and it's all love, and it's all family, And it's like, yeah, like you found your vision, and like you said, you released it, you executed it properly. You're making changes, I'm sure, here and there along the way, and that's a great thing. It's it's the same thing with music. There are times where we wish bands would stick to their sound, the same sound that we first heard them on, but you have to grow. You have to mature
Mhm.
within your craft. You can't just constantly. Sure, you could do the same thing, but there's always going to be something different about it. Um,
Right.
and I think it's absolutely wonderful. I think you do an amazing job in this community as well. You bring different topics to the table, even if you're shouting into the void. You're heard, man. Let me tell you, you're heard.
You're gonna make me cry. Thank
Yeah,
you. No, that like, and the truth is, like, I feel that same way about you and everything that you do as well. And I'm really grateful that we are in a place where we can create communities within our community because people need that, as much as we ourselves need that too.
absolutely. We all need some kind of I want to call it a hobby therapy, right? We're not going to a therapist who just sits down. I mean, we can, and of course, absolutely. If you need it, it is there. The options are open for
Oh
everybody.
yeah.
Um, but when when we go through the therapy within our hobby, more doors open up in our brains, and we're like, oh man, I felt this way, but now I don't because I posted this picture of Godzilla taking down Gigan and just wiping him through the ground. I'm gonna do the same thing with this issue now. Come here, you know. Um, so yeah, 100%, man. Thank you
I
for your
love
work.
that. Likewise, thank you as well. So, shameless plugs. I do have your socials listed below, but note where people can find the stuff, all the good stuff.
As you can see on the screen, I tend to forget my Twitter handle. Okay, Twitter fans at fans Godzilla. I don't post often, um, but I do my best. And then, of course, on Instagram, unite underscore Godzilla underscore fans underscore. I know that's a long one. I apologize. It is a long one. But you can find me on there. And like I say to everybody, and you read the quote, I'll say it again. If anyone needs anyone to talk to, where you're scared, alone, you're unsure about something, and I don't give a damn what it is. It could be if you want to about posting a picture or some major life change that's about to take place and you're scared as hell about it. We're all here. We got open ears, free of judgment, clean, love space for all of us. Come talk to me. Come talk to your boy Donny over here. He definitely will help you out. If you don't know by now, the man's full of love and joy and some good stuff. Um, so by all means, reach out, come talk to us. It's all about the love and the family, G fans. And as always, stay united, G fans.
I love that. Well, everyone, don't forget that Growing Up with Godzilla premieres on the first and third Sunday of each month. And thank you to my wonderful guest for joining me this week. It's been an honor to have this conversation, and I feel very wholesome, ending this, and I love it. I love it. So,
I thank you very much, my friend. This has been an honor and a blessing, and thank you for the opportunity to hop on your amazing show. Um, and everyone needs to subscribe, download, follow, whatever it is you got to do to get this man up in the high ranks because it's well deserving, Donnie. It
thank you.
is well deserving, my friend.
And you're always welcome back too.
Whenever you want me, I'm here for you, brother.
Well, everyone, have a great rest of your day, and we will talk soon. Bye.